What's going on, guys? It's Justin here with Summit Racing, and we have a very special guest today. We have Mr. Tom Bailey, YouTuber, drag racer. You kind of wear a lot of hats and have a lot of titles. So thanks for joining us today, Tom, and we have some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, no, glad to be here. And yeah, I don't know about the YouTuber. That's like an accident thing. I'd say racer first, and then YouTube kind of just happened.
Yeah, it's kind of they hold hand in hand when you you're a big deal like yourself and you start to go real fast. People want to know what you're up to, and you've kind of made a little YouTube channel. You've included your family and some of your buddies, and it's actually really interesting to follow along.
Cool. Yeah, no, appreciate it. I mean, that's unlike anyone with that does created content. Our content is literally we're just filming what we're doing. So
yeah, and I think people really enjoy that. It's always fun to see what's going on behind the scenes and what it takes to kind of run a race program like you have yourself.
It keeps us busy.
Yes, busy is good. So you actually have a really cool event coming up in your neck of the woods in Pontiac, Michigan. It's a Summit 6 Powerfest presented by M1 Concourse. So let's talk about that, how it got started, what's going on. It's an action-packed weekend of stuff.
Yeah, like years ago, we started like a fundraiser for Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan, and we just had like a little car show that would happen the day before Roadkill nights would go on, and everybody would come in town, would be coming in town for different stuff with Roadkill and different things, and so we would just hang out, and then it developed into okay, well let's create something to hang out doing, and I'm trying to think what we called the first one, but it's gone through different names. But this year, we're really stepping it up for the fact that now M1 Concourse, we have the whole concourse to ourselves for Friday for a big party. So with that, I mean, we definitely have gone next level. Not only do we have the Aussie burnouts. First, we did stationary burnouts years ago, and then we moved into the Australian style burnouts, which if anybody doesn't know, that's obviously the drive around burnouts. A lot more entertaining than the stationary burnout. The Australians have perfected it, I believe. So that's why we call it the Aussie style burnouts, because that's just how everybody knows it. But we had that last year and had a great turnout for that, along with Car Corral, like a car show. This year, I mean, just next level. So not only do we have the Aussie style burnouts, we also have a drift event going on, a judge drifting event. So tandem drifting going on the skid pad. We also have what's shaping up to be one of the largest RC drag races in the country. There's people coming from Australia to do the RC drag race in Hawaii. Like the list is crazy on the cars that are coming, and the RC drag cars. It's insane how fast these cars are now. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any, but like literally, it's crazy where they've came.
It's wild to see kind of, because with RC cars, you have the guys that race on dirt, and then, you have there's all sorts of kind of different niches there, road courses, that kind of deal. But then the RC drag racing thing has kind of really picked up over the last 3 or 4 years. We, actually, there's like a whole group of local guys, here in the Talmadge area down here where Summit Racing is, that they do every week they're racing, and they're like, it's like showing up to some backway parking deck. There's guys racing in the top. There's side bets. It's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and that's the thing. Is like Frank Ulbrich or whatever. I'm sure I'm saying his last name wrong, but he has what other people have told me is the world's fastest RC car currently. So he is the one that's helped organize this event. Because it's with the drifting and the RC cars. It's like, I don't know this world. I enjoy this world. So I just went to people that were heavily into it and said, hey, will you help organize this event so we can put this on? He's got it's going to be live streamed. There's a company coming from Oklahoma that's going to live stream the RC racing. Obviously the timing system and all of that, as well as all the bracket stuff. But he's expecting over 100 of the fastest RC cars in the country there. And, yeah, I mean, it next level as far as the RC stuff that's going on there. And that's just one element. So then the drifting, it's like I went to a local guy, Mike, that does a lot of drifting stuff, and put on the competition or to help set up the competition for it. And it's like we have 2 different groups. There's a pro drifting 32 car field, and there's also an amateur drifting 32 car field that's kind of open. Like they won't be running tandem. That's more like people that are getting into drifting. So we do have some spots for the entry level, as well as the experienced tandem drifters that will be out there on the skid pad showing off as well. And I guess to back up to the RC cars, there is an out of the box class too. There's the outlaw, like I can't remember what they call their classes, but there's one that's OTB, which is out of the box. So like very minimal modifications that can be done to the car. So there's a bunch of people that are coming with those type of cars to out of the box. And we actually went and bought a couple of the cars, and we've been fooling with them a little bit when we've had time to basically try and get somewhat up to speed with RC cars.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part. And just like kind of like your drag car, there's so much even setup that goes into one of those little RC cars. You know, those guys are they're tuning shocks, how the car twists, different battery sizes. Actually, Summit Racing is a Horizon hobby dealer, so we sell some of those low-C drag cars. And I talked to the low-C guy. We actually had him on for a live stream, and he was kind of running us through the deal. And it's just like setting up a real car. It's those guys are doing the same stuff, drag racers, and that deal do just on a much smaller scale. You can do it in your basement. You don't have to have a shop, which is it's really nice.
Yeah, no, and that's the cars that we have. Actually, is a couple low-C trucks, and that's Bob, the fab guy at the shop here. He's gotten really into it to where he's going out practicing every night. But like he's telling me about all the same setups we do for a drag car, just like you were saying. Like go into there that they don't have 4-link bars, but yet they're setting up the suspension a certain way, and then they're checking they got limiters on the front shocks and making sure the front shocks and changing the valving on stuff. Like everything that we do with a big car, applies to an RC car. So, it is like you can learn a whole lot about drag racing for a couple $100 with one of those RC cars.
Yeah. And that's a great way if if you decided you wanted to maybe get to drag racing one day, racing a full size car. That's a great entry to it. Like you said, for only a couple $100, you're not going and buying a Fox or a G body and building a motor and doing that and getting, heavily invested. You can taste it first.
Yeah. And that's where for guys like Summit, that's what you want them to do, because then that gets them addicted. And now they are buying all the big speed parts you guys have on the shelf right there. So
yes. Slowly, that's always the joke, because it's like the first one's really cheap or free, and then that's what you go from there.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Drag racing, they say it is the what is it? It's the man, I can't even think of the term, but either way, it's just an addictive hobby that then you get into there, and it's like. So.
We can all remember the first time we ever made, there was we rode in something we thought was fast, and then you ride in something that's actually fast, or you run your first 10, or when you go 10 or below for the first time, it's just, that is an undescribable feeling. And you've gone considerably faster than that, so I can't even imagine how that feels.
Yeah, it's expensive. I can tell you that's how that feels.
It's miles per miles. Dollars don't matter.
Exactly. Yep. But
this, like you said, this is a whole giant. It's basically it's a giant event. You guys are packing people in. You can buy. I would recommend jumping on and pre-buying your tickets. We even kind of have a little bit of a pre-purchase code going on through Summit.
Correct. Yeah, and that's and literally all we've talked about so far is the Australian burnouts, which was the whole show last year, was a burnout show. So now we've talked about the Australian burnouts. We've talked about the drifting event that's going on. We've talked about the RC drag race that's going on. Well, there's also a Cackle Fest. So we've got Nitro cars coming there to do a Cackle Fest a couple times throughout the day. And then basically that's how the party's going to end that night is 9:30, 10 o'clock is we're going to have the Cackle cars fire up, and you get to see the nice header flames in the dark, which it seems like anytime I've been to a Cackle thing lately, they're doing it during the day. And it's like you're missing the best element of Cackle cars. Exactly. Like that stuff just lighting off at night is just, the coolest thing. It's like any NHRA race, feel bad for the guys that the day got delayed, that they're racing in the dark. But for the spectator, man, the dark is awesome. So we just did a shootout at Martin last weekend, And I mean, even our cars, there's an 8-car shootout, but like even our cars on the 2-step, they make some awesome flames at night. And I mean, we didn't run the one run till damn near midnight, but the cool part was the flames off the headers.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole show of it. There's nothing. That is one of my favorite things. Is kind of we did Good Guys down in Columbus a couple weeks ago, and they do a Cackle Fest down there, and you have the front engine dragsters and all that, and they start them up on alcohol. And as soon as they flip those bad boys to nitro, it is that thing is just trying to tear itself apart. And I don't think there's anything quite more American. Like that is a true display of raw nasty horsepower, and I always can appreciate that.
Yep, yeah, and it's the other is it is not the same on TV as it is in person, because in person it is so cool that you start crying because it's just that cool. I don't know if it's a nitro or you're so excited, but one of the two things make you cry.
It's all happy tears. Like I'm all about that.
Yep. So in addition to the nitro stuff, we also do have a Car Corral. So that's where like cars on display and come and go, which with Roadkill happening on Saturday, I mean, same as always. Like so many people are in from out of town with their cars. On Saturday, they're all in quarantine and they're all in the pit, so nobody can get to them. On Friday, you can get up close and personal. I mean, at the Summit Powerfest, you're going to be able to talk to the owner, the driver in a relaxed environment, ask them questions about the car, get details on the car, look the car over closely to come up with mods that you want to do. Like, I mean, all that stuff. And those are all street legal cars. And to our Saturday, you're just going to be able to watch them race. So, I mean, this is that intimate experience with those cars on Friday.
Yeah, and you can't beat like being up close and personal and getting to meet the driver. That is the one thing I kind of love about this kind of this crowd and this whole deal going on. Is that true that you're right there. You get to right there at the car. You get to talk to the drivers. Like you can't beat that. That is that's truly a fun experience, and especially for like younger kids and all that. That's how you catch the bug, and I'm sure that's how a lot of us caught the bug. Is go to an event like that and then you see something cool, then that sticks with you, and then you end up building one, 10 years later.
No, and that's the thing, and that's the part that with Sick Week and the events that we do and the events like at the Drag and Drive style events, like there's no rigs, like there's nothing shielding the car and the driver from everybody, because we're all in it together. We're all in the same parking lot, pit spot with it. There's no rig to go into. There's no trailer to go into. There's nothing. Like it's you and your car. And that's also the part that like it's so addictive because anybody can do it. I mean, literally all you need is a car. Like if you have a car, it doesn't matter whether it's a 25-second car or it's a 5-second car. Like the experience of the event is exactly the same. Like we're all making runs down the drag strip. We're all driving our car to the next track. And like on the road, like we're all the same. We don't know whether your car is a 25-second car or a 5-second car. Like we don't know on the road. We're just helping each other to get there. And that's the camaraderie part of it. That's what's so cool about this style of racing, I think, is the other part that's just made it blow up here in the last few years is I feel like everybody's budget is a little tighter with things. So like, hey, if I can take my street car and that also be my race car, I mean, it's like now I don't need a dedicated race car. And plus a lot of people they either don't have the time or they can't go racing every weekend. So, hey, if a couple times a year you can do a weekend or you can do a week-long event, I mean, that's what got me into it like 15 years ago was that I didn't have time or the desire to go to the racetrack every single weekend with a family and stuff like that. So like, hey, in 1 week, I could make enough passes as most people make in an entire year. So a 1 week time span of doing an event, I can get my bug filled with drag racing and get all that taken care of. And I can take that same car to the ice cream stand on Friday night or take it out to dinner or anything that I want to do with that car. And that's what's so cool about the drag and drive style car is that it's multi-purpose. It is not your race car. So that's just dedicated to that.
Yeah, and that's cool. And, that's having essentially what we refer to as a daily race car is that's a lot of fun because like you said, you can drive it to work. You can go, pick up your kids from practice. There's all sorts of fun things you can do it. And with modern, kind of how technology's progressed over the last 5, 6, 10 years, there are some really fast streetable cars out there. It's impressive. Yeah,
no, I mean, it's amazing. Like, we just did did with a gasser that we bought a gasser. We bought a gasser a week before Six Summer, and it was a bracket car. And the ad said cannot be driven long distances. So I called the guy and talked to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, like you just can't. Like race fuel, and it's uncomfortable, and all those things." And I'm like, "Okay." And after a little bit, he's like, then he knew who I was, and he's like, "Well, you could probably make it streetable, I would bet." But so we bought it, we brought it back, and in a week we converted it into a street car. And EJ, who works for me, EJ, and then Sam, who's on the Cleves McFarland bunch, like old man Sam. They took it on Six Summer, made it the entire week. I mean, she went from a 14.99 pass, her first pass, to a 12-second pass on the last day. We just actually took the engine out. There was a flat tappet cam and lifter setup, and we just converted. Iski sent us a package to convert it to a roller setup. We did that, threw it on the dyno. I mean, it's just small block Chevy, 383 deal, and 589 horsepower in the dyno, NA, 4-barrel carburetor, like. And it is just like, even when I was talking to Steve about it, it's like, I'm like, dude, like, because he's like, yeah, they all make that now. Like, and I'm like, but like, why? Like, how do they all make that? And it's just, I mean, a decent set of heads just flows so well now out of the box. Like, you just buy it. Like, literally, this does not have one custom piece on it. I mean, it was a package from Iski. It's got some, like, just aftermarket heads that were bought at Summit that are just out of the box heads thrown on there. And I mean, it's making 600 horsepower damn near. Like, I mean, on a 4-barrel carburetor, like nothing, there is no technology in this car, and it's just cool. And that shows how far everything's came. That, I mean, call it the out of the box stuff that, hey, you just, not to keep telling someone, but you just go order a set of heads, like pre-assembled heads, slap them on the car, and you just added 100 horsepower. Like, I mean, without doing anything else or knowing how to tune the car. Like, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, that's the crazy kind of, you said how crazy how far technologies came. You know, look how readily available like aluminum cylinder heads now. You know, I say when I refer to 10, you know, you go to the early 90s and you saw aluminum cylinder. Like, I can remember seeing the first time seeing aluminum cylinder heads on an LT1 and being like, oh my gosh, this has aluminum heads from the factory. Like, this is race car technology. And now everything, right. You know, kind of the LS, you know, those got really popular in the mid 90s. That is, you know, GM had a really cool, there's a stout bottom end there, but, you know, all the power is all in cylinder head. You had a great cylinder head out of the box, and then you have tons of options. You can get these things out of a junkyard. You know, dollar per horsepower is at an all-time low in 2023 between small block Chevy, LS, 5-liter Ford, kind of anything. It's cheap to make big power now, which makes it a lot more attainable for a lot of people.
Well, and that's the part that too, like, I mean, that's, I mean, with the LS stuff or whatever, like, obviously everybody thinks you got to LS swap everything. And like with this gasser car, like, we just proved that, like, this is small block Chevy stuff. I mean, it's literally, it's a 400 crank and it's a 383 is what it is. And like, okay, it's 600 horsepower. Well, everybody touts how LS is so easy to make power. I mean, it used to be 300 horsepower in a small block Chevy. Oh, that's putting out some power. Like, yeah. Now literally it's double that. And we're like, yeah, no, it's no big deal. Like, really? I mean, I think it's kind of a big deal. It's a 4-barrel carburetor sitting on an intake manifold, like with a good cam and good heads on it. And it's 600 horsepower, like done in your garage.
Yes. No, I'm in the same boat. Like, you know, I am a small block Chevy controlled fuel leak carburetor guy all day. I get asked that question all the time is, you know, oh, you haven't made the step to LS or fuel injection. I'm like, no, because small Chevys are fantastic and they're cheap and they're reliable and they made millions of them.
And that's the thing is everybody's taking out their small block Chevy to put an LS in it, and you don't have to. Like, once again, like, it's just, we still are stuck in the days of thinking that a small block Chevy is making 160 horsepower. Like, I mean, that's what we're thinking. And you put some stuff in there and maybe you get 300 horsepower out of it. Like, and I can tell you that up to just doing the cam change and putting this thing on the dyno, I was still there because I never really even thought about it anymore. I'm like, we've progressed past small block Chevy. I put an LS in it or a turbo LS. Like, it's all easy, buy the stuff at the junkyard. But it's like, hey, let's buy all those small block Chevys that all those people are taking out to put the LS in, because now that small block Chevy, we can make the same power they're making with the LS. They just put in it. So, yes, I'm all about it. I will, you know, they say another man's trash is another man's treasure.
And anybody that's throwing small block Chevys away, just drop them off here at Summit. I will be more than glad to take them off your hands.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I mean, it was just, I'm like, man, that's cool. And I mean, so literally the cam change that Nolan Adisky or whatever that he spec'd, which whatever, we have the part number coming out on our video that like, hey, here's exactly what we did. But like, I mean, out of the box deal, not a custom ground cam for us or anything, just a kit. And I mean, shit, damn near 600 horsepower. And I'm sure the kit that I'm talking about is available right on your website. So, I mean, and it's just cool. Like, I mean, and it still makes you think because we're working on project for Dodge with a red eye that's 800 horsepower. So now we think, oh yeah, baddest of the bad or whatever, 800 horsepower. But I still go back to this damn small block Chevy with a carburetor on it that like a couple changes, it's 600. So like we're within a couple hundred horsepower of arguably the best crate engine out there, a red eye 800 horse from the factory deal.
Yeah, and you can't beat, and that's the thing is that small block Chevy platform is very buildable on, you know, you can give her a little giggle gas, spray the house down, make some even more power. The world is your oyster when it comes to that. It's there's more power to be made there.
So yeah. And
so let's talk about.
We got off track, but
you know, I could talk about small block all day long. You know, we just started to rant. I enjoyed it, and we just kept going. So let's talk about where this event actually is. So it's at M1 Concourse in Pontiac, correct?
Correct. Yep. M1 Concourse is a custom garage condo community. So it's one of the first ones. It's got a little, it's got a 1.5 mile road course and then garage condo. So basically people bought garages in there and then they customized them. So they've got bedrooms in them, kitchens, like, I mean, next level type entertainment type man condos that are there. So it's just a cool community. That was an old GM plant back in the day. And they bought the property, converted to this. And I mean, it's been open for probably 4 or 5 years now since it was opened. And just a cool facility to host it at. They've got a big event center there. They've got I think it's like a 4 or 5 acre skid pad there. And that's where the main attractions will be as far as the drifting and the Aussie burnouts. And we're actually in conversation with whether we have it or not, but it's looking pretty good is the Power Wheels drag race on the skid pad. So, cause like, once again, like this weekend, somebody shows me some videos of some of these Power Wheels pulling wheelies or whatever. And I'm like, hey, if those guys are available, let's have them race at Powerfest. Cause Summit Powerfest, that's all we want. Like the idea is to build it into a carnival. They're like, hey, there's this tent over here. And then there's this going here and just anything about power. So,
there is something about a carnival of horsepower that just puts a smile on my face. You know, you kind of have that Tim Taylor, like that, like that's just what I'm all about. That like I don't want Ferris wheels, I want nitro cars and burnouts.
Yep, yeah, exactly, and that's and that's what this is about. Is like this year, like really taking it to the next level with obviously with Summit jumping on board is naming the thing, and like I mean just. It's Summit's cup of tea, and because power, Summit's all about power, and like that's what this is about. It's like anything with power. So, what else? Trying to think what else. I mean, obviously there's like food vendors and all the normal carnival type stuff going on. Sick Pizza, we'll have their pizza trailer there. So that's our pizza place, Oxford, Michigan. So it's about 30 minutes north of M1 Concourse, but there is a food truck that. Scott, who runs the pizza place, he'll be down there with that. And so a lot of people have been wanting to try Sick Pizza, so they can get some Sick Pizza there.
Yeah, that is super fun. You know, that is cool. You're kind of you've diversified what you have going on. We have drag racing events, you know, horsepower carnivals, pizza. You have a kind of a hat in every deal.
Yeah, the whole idea is just the fun stuff. Like, hey, we're trying to have a good time with all the stuff, and find out so much that in the Metro Detroit area, there's a lot of good car shows and stuff, but like there's nothing like this going on. So like as we kind of went through it, it's like, well, why doesn't anybody do this? And it's like, well, let's just do it. And every year it's grown to where like this year, like I said, it's just going completely next level to where in past years, M1 Concourse has also been the host site for Roadkill on the next day. Well, now Roadkill's happening 5 minutes up the road in downtown Pontiac because they did some road construction there. So that section of Woodward it had a dog leg to it before. Now it's got a heavier dog leg. There's no way a bunch of cars that we're trying to drive straight on the street are going to make the corner. So they moved it up to a straighter part of the street. So that just really opened up Friday to be an even bigger event. So,
man, that's
and we're trying to take advantage of all that space. So,
yeah. And it's so iconic too, kind of that is the whole, that you guys are centered in the birth of horsepower. I'm sure we've all heard the crazy stories of Woodward drag racing, of factory experimental cars beating up on other stuff. That was so you're just it's the historical aspect of it, of gathering all that massive horsepower then, but there's a lot of fun stuff going on too, which we can appreciate.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be a great time. So I mean, that's if you have not been to somewhere where they did Aussie Burnouts, then you owe it to yourself to get there and check it out. If you have not seen tandem drifting in person, you owe it to yourself to check it out. So, I mean, if you've not seen RC drag racing in person and how fast these damn cars are, you owe it to yourself to check it out. If you never cried because of Nitro cars, check it out.
So you guys,
a whole bunch of bucket list stuff. So
Tom is telling you guys right now to treat yourself. You deserve it. You've all worked hard all week. So in a couple weeks, pop up to Pontiac, Michigan, and head over to this event, because there's something for everybody. You might not even know what you like yet, and you can head up there and find out. But I agree on the Aussie Burnouts. I can remember the first time ever watching one of those videos and being like, why don't we do this in America? Because I am all about this. And now it's here. And you've had the guys down there at Cletus's. They've kind of got big into it. You've built a car. There's a lot going on with that. I would be very curious of the Australian guys that were sitting in their garage having frosty beverages one night. They were like, okay, hear me out. Let's take Burnouts and let's go to full, let's go fast. And, giant blown alcohol motors, which we all love.
Yep. No, it's crazy. And I've been to Australia and witnessed them. And then I'm fortunate enough to have friends from Australia that do the Aussie Burnouts. And I'll always contend that I'm still a big time amateur in that whole thing, but it is a riot to do it. It's a riot to watch it happen. It's cool stuff. So, the other is everything we're talking about too, whatever, let's make it sound like the infomercial. No, you would think this costs $99 to go see this. No, it's tickets are $15. And if you use Summit as a discount code, they're $10. $10 to go check all this stuff out.
Yeah, you can't. That it's almost, you're doing a disservice to yourself on not spending $10 on that. You could go buy a lottery ticket and possibly win $11, or you can go guaranteed to see something interesting.
Yeah, you're going to have a great time. And Summit's trailer is going to be there. So you're going to be able to check out some of the Summit stuff, pick up Summit parts. But and there's just cool. And I think that it might be one of the first time Summit trailers actually got to roll into Michigan, at least Pontiac, for something, because there's never anything going on up in this area. We're always going to Norwalk or something for an event.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's the you guys are kind of in a weird spot, but you have a great local track up at Milan is a kind of renowned track up there. We like that one, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of stuff in Pontiac. So if you haven't been up there and checked it out, this is the perfect opportunity, and we're excited to come up and check it out. We love events with horsepower, so just the opportunity to come out and check stuff up and work with you on this is a lot of fun. And we can't, we're pumped. I'm pumped. I'm going to be smiling about it till all the way till August 11th. And I'm sure I'm going to be smiling on August 12th as well.
Oh yeah, no. And that's the thing. It's going to be a great time. And there's plenty of stuff going on around that time up here. And literally it's taking place a week before the renowned Woodward Dream Cruise on the same stretch of road Woodward Dream Cruise takes place on. So, it's a great time to come to Michigan. As anybody from the north, I was born and raised in Brimfield, Ohio, so not that far from Talmadge, but in the north, we have 3 great months. We got 9 sucky months, but we got 3 great ones. So if you're in the south, suffering, this is a good excuse. Come north, because this is our best time of the year. So it's beautiful. So
yeah, it might be a little hot here, but it's a dry heat.
Oh, exactly. That's what we'll call it. It's a freaking wet heat here today. So it's
Oh, dude,
I think we're supposed to get a storm, so it's humid as hell. So
yeah, no, it's
and we normally don't have the wet heat.
yeah, no, it's the humidity is it's not for the weak. It's you know, when you step outside, you can just feel it all stick to you. You're just like, oh, I was like, it's gonna be winter soon. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing is we can't complain too much because literally we get what we ask for something in a few months. So
I mean, I kind of had that conversation the other day where it was like, you know, people, you know, Ohio, if you don't like the weather, you wait 15 minutes, but we don't really have to worry about tornadoes. We're not by, you know, we have only Lake Erie, so no floods or any of that kind of crazy stuff because we're kind of high, and we get all 4 seasons. It's not really that bad.
well, yeah, don't keep advertising it or else we're going to get everybody trying to move up to this area.
Oh, yeah, no, it's horrible here, guys. There's tornadoes every week, thunderstorms. Taxes are really high. No race cars either.
Exactly.
No race cars.
Yep, exactly. So that's the thing. And like, yeah, when you speak about race cars, because everybody's like, especially with like 2.0 and stuff, and some of the stuff to the extreme, they're like, well, how do you drive? Like, that's not a street car. Like, how do you get that? I'm like, oh, you'd be surprised how easy it is that we get to drive whatever we want on the street in the northern states. So like, cops love them, and like
turn signals, horn, lights. You're pretty plates and insurance, and you're pretty well to go in a seatbelt. And you're you don't even have to have both mirrors. You only have to have one, technically. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, in Michigan, unlike Ohio, we don't even have inspections. So therefore, like, literally, it's like, I don't even know if you'd have to have the mirror. If you get pulled over, you have to have the mirror. But to get your license plate, you don't need the mirror.
So, and that's the thing is like some of the cars you guys build in that whole drag and drive platform, it's impressive. You know, building a drag car that only has to go 1,320 feet or it's an 1/8 mile car, you know, that is one thing. But building something that you have to run a 1/4 mile pass, convert back to street mode, and then drive it a couple 100 miles, whole different ball game.
Well, and the perfect example, like with you saying that too, is like because we got 2 builds going on for Roadkill that will debut at the Summit Powerfest. So we have our 65 Belvedere, which is an AFX car, an altered wheelbase car. We bought it with a Gen 2 heavy mechanical injection stuff out of Connecticut. That'd be super cool, iconic car. Like McKesson was the driver of it. He's actually been to my shop since I got it. He's in his 70s now to check the car out and stuff. But that's getting a red eye in it, turbo 400 deal. And that is a grudge race car for Roadkill. So EJ, who works for me, it had to be an inexperienced driver, kind of a mentor, mentee. So the shop, SICK Fabrication is the mentor, and then she's the mentee that will drive it. But it could be a race car because all it has to do is race. And then the Durango that we're working on, which has a Gen 3 Hemi in it, big Whipple on it. It's pushing 2,000 horsepower. But that one is a street car because we're racing that in the street class. So therefore, Aiden, my youngest, is our wiring guy at the shop here. So it's his job to get both these cars wired. We got less than a week left. And if I showed you pictures of them, you'd say you're never going to make it. But we still say we're going to make it. We'll get it done. But literally, it's one car. He's like, I'm not worried about the wiring on that because that's just a race car. All I got to worry about is making the fuel pump work and the fan work, and that's it.
You got to derby wire it. You just need some wire nuts, twist a couple things together.
Yep. The other one, he's got to make the turn signals work, the lights work, and all of that stuff. And it's a 2019 or 2021 Durango. So like the lights alone, he's like, well, you're out of outputs on your smart wire if I just make all the stuff and the lights work. So like,
well, and that's the crazy on something new like that, you know, a ton of it's CAN bus. Like there's a lot, most of it, you know, the factory lights, all that stuff is all LEDs and they have little boards and all that. There's a lot going on. You know, we all love a good electrical guy like Aiden. That's because wiring is a lot of people's least favorite thing. I enjoy wiring. I hate, you know, paint and body. That is the thing I'm not good at. But yeah, no, when you get into a newer car like that and you have your whole harness laid out on the floor and you're like, I need to make this go in there and then work it can get a little stressful. So I wish him the best of luck and I have all the faith. You know, I'm sure it's going to be a couple late nights, but it'll buff.
Well, what are you doing the next 10 days?
So the next 10 days, I will be out at Hot August Nights out there in Reno, having all the fun.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yes. I would jump at the opportunity to come up.
Yeah,
Tom,
exactly.
but,
I just happened to be booked.
Summit's just they got me going somewhere else, buddy. But next time, get me a little bit earlier, and I will be up to do all the wiring.
Yeah. If we had advance notice, then we'd get it done ourselves. But everything's always down to the last minute. So, and that's where still parts are getting overnighted in. Like that's what's a great thing about Summit only being a day away. It's like all kinds of parts that it's like, oh, we need this. Well, luckily, if we can get the order in by 10 p.m., we'll still get it the next day. So.
Yes, that is a beautiful thing. Kind of with 4 locations around the country. Most everywhere where you live, if it's you're gonna get it in just a couple of days, and you guys are really close to it. It's about a day. We like to say 2 to 3, but there's a lot of times when it comes early and you get that big smile on your face. You can't beat coming home to boxes on the porch.
Yep.
So this event is happening. It's Friday, August 11th. You can head over to the website and check out more of the information, get your tickets. If you guys are interested in kind of running one of these events, you can go over there and check out the rules and still sign up, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, the Car Corral. There's opportunities for the Car Corral. There's some opportunities. The competition drift, I think, is full. There are some burnout, like amateur burnout stuff open, and some amateur drifting open. They're still taking registration for the RC car drag racing. So, not only attending the event to see everything, there's your opportunity to be a participant in the event out there, because it's just M1 Concourse is a big facility. So, we're doing the best we can to fill it up, but we have a lot of space to put people so that we can let everybody be part of it.
Yes, and I'm sure this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it, and I'm excited. Nitro cars, drifting, Australian style burnouts, RC car drag racing, and even a cool car show. And then there's you have the hot rod deal going on the next day. It's pretty fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. Definitely the weekend to be in Michigan for doing stuff. Like, because if you've done the Woodward Dream Cruise, which whatever, we have some stuff going on for that, but like that is a parking lot. So you don't really get to experience a lot of it. Like you're cruising up and down because there's so many cars on Woodward. So the week before, which is the reason why this stuff happens the week before, it's a little more relaxed. You can see things, and plus Woodward gets closed down on Saturday for the racing. So.
Yes, it's that's like I said, it's a full fun-filled weekend. And the even cooler part, this event is raising money for, a really great couple of causes. So that's always a good time.
Correct. Yeah. This one's always been our fundraiser event. So Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan and also Bubba's Buddies are the two fundraisers that we support with any proceeds off the event. And like I said, we're just trying to make it fun all the way around.
Yes, well, we are excited to see it and attend in its full glory. So, guys, again, August 11th, head over to the website now, pick up some tickets. Summit Sick Fest presented by M1 Concourse. Dude, I want to thank you again, Tom, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I always like, we talk small block Chevys for 10 minutes. So I consider
it. Exactly. Got sidetracked on something that was never part of the plan, but it was a cool sidetrack.
So, guys, head over, like I said, head over to the website, head over to Tom's YouTube channel, check out some of that sweet Sick Summer merch. You even have a magazine. We didn't even talk about the rest of the cool stuff. He has a magazine, a pizza place. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So check out his YouTube channel, check out his website. And, until next time, Tom, it's been a pleasure. And we'll see you here in August.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Thanks, man.
Yep. So, guys, we'll see you later. And thanks for joining us.